Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, where you're the reoccurring guest, whether you're in the classroom or shaping education behind the scenes. I'm Tisha Poncio.
And I'm Rick Butterworth. Together, we bring stories, insights, and conversations that matter to educators, learners, and change makers. Our goal is to bring everyone together to learn, grow, and play. The thing is, I always try to completely throw you off every single time, so...
Wow, that's the first thing that the audience is hearing?
Exactly.
Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, everyone. We don't have to welcome Rick because he is
I already jumped
here.
in straight away, and obviously it's the beginning of the month, beginning of the school year.
For some,
some.
Rick, not for everyone.
Okay, who's the not for everyone then,
I
please?
knew you were going to ask me that.
Because
this is an international...
I know. Well, yeah. I mean, the UK, our school year starts this week.
Okay.
But I also know that some schools in the States have already gone back.
Well, yes,
I can hear you typing away there, Tish, trying to clarify that you're.
Well,
it's like you're trying to find out the information before you answer.
I was trying to.
So anytime someone's here, when we're hearing you typing on during the podcast, you're basically trying to find out the answer as quickly as possible, asking ChatGPT. Like, I'm not cheating here.
Because I don't know the answer. I need assistance. I need support. And I didn't get the answer I needed. So it's a really good practice and I guess skill. And I asked ChatGPT the wrong question. If you ask ChatGPT the wrong question, you're going to get the wrong answer. So that's a lesson.
When you were trying to find out the answer of which schools haven't gone back, what did you type?
Why did you ask me that? I want to explain something to you, Rick. I want to tell you that I have ADHD. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Really? I had no clue that you had ADHD.
I know, but what I want to explain to you...
What do you mean, I know?
I want to explain this to you. I need... And everyone, it is like... Okay, we both love computers. Probably the people listening had computers growing up. They went from a spot where they didn't have computers and now they do. I have... Like, my operating system goes so fast and then the typing doesn't come out at the same speed. So it's literally like I'm running like a quick speed memory in my brain. It's a computer up there. And then I can't get my fingers or my words to come out at the same speed that it's happening in my head. It is a constant struggle. And you laugh, but you know.
Yes,
and so,
I do.
I feel I
have the same problem. I understand completely where you're coming from. It's the whole idea of I'm typing away, but what I'm typing is not appearing on the screen.
So I say all of that.
I'm typing it in real time.
Exactly. I'm telling you all of that because I knew you were going to ask me. What did you type, Tisha, into ChatGPT to get the wrong answer? So...
Come on, let's hear it. What did you type?
I can't believe you put me on the spot this way. I typed, who is in summer right now in the world?
What? I don't know if the guest actually heard what you said, because I definitely didn't. What did you just say?
I typed, who is in summer right now in the world?
Who is in summer right now in the world. So basically, everyone in the Northern Hemisphere is in the summer right now.
That's exactly what it told me. It said...
You didn't need to ask ChatGPT that question. You have me to answer that question.
I wasn't actually wanting that question, but what I did learn is about the Arctic. They have 2 seasons. The mid-latitudes have 4 seasons. The tropics have 2 seasons? Yeah, wet and dry. Mm-hmm. Mid-latitudes have 4, and the Antarctic has 2.
Don't worry, the UK has about 8.
Well, Texas has 2, so
you match with everybody else,
yeah.
And the UK just has...
Well, what I want to know, and this is really what I was going to ask ChatGPT. Thanks for putting me on the spot.
You're absolutely welcome. Here comes the typing.
Yes. Which students in the world start school in September? right? Because you're saying
Yeah,
that in the UK
that's
they're starting school, but here in Texas they've already been in school for almost a month.
yeah. But isn't there some schools in the US that also
Yes.
start in
Yes. A lot of the
September or
schools there are schools. It seems like there are less schools though starting in
yeah,
September.
it usually is around on average mid-August, if I'm correct.
So I'll tell you, the northern hemisphere, the Western calendar, school will start between. It says school goes what? ChatGPT. See, I'm telling you, it's so confusing. My brain cannot keep up. Okay, let's clarify. Rick it threw me off right away because he hit record without saying he was hitting record. Everyone, and that was right before I had to sage him and the studio. Which I guess that was his reply to that. But
Yep.
North America, United States, almost all students are going to start late August or early September. In Canada,
Okay.
most provinces start the first week of September, which is coming up.
Mhm.
In Europe, same thing, early September. So that's UK and
Yeah,
Ireland.
that's mostly
France,
most of Europe, if not the whole of Europe,
Germany,
is early September. Yep. I
Italy,
think
Spain,
Italy and
Portugal,
Spain. Yep.
Greece. Um, Mid to late August or early September. Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland,
Yeah.
Denmark, Iceland.
Mhm.
Then Poland, shout out to all my Polish friends. I love Poland. Um
Poland's a beautiful country.
I want to
Beautiful
go there one
country.
day.
Yeah, I
Romania,
definitely recommend it.
Czech Republic, Hungary, early September. Then you have Middle East and North Africa, September. In Israel, September 1st is the official start date. In Turkey, it's mid-September. Then you have the Gulf countries. So Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, all of those August, September. It's so interesting to kind of like read this. Then you have
Mhm.
Asia,
This is the one that
Russia.
I'm in with.
Okay, Russia always starts September 1st. It is actually called Knowledge Day, September 1st. So Russia starts
Okay.
September 1st, which for us in the US this year, we have a holiday. Okay. On the
Yes,
1st.
yeah,
It's
Labor Day.
Labor Day. So Central Asia, September 1st, South Asia, mostly April to June start. So
Mhm.
that's India, Pakistan. It's not September, and China usually starts March, April. So that's China, Japan,
Okay.
South Korea,
Mhm, mhm.
Taiwan. And then you have South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana. Usually January is when they start school, not September.
Yeah. And why is that, Tish?
You'll have
Without
to
typing it into Google
you'll
or
have to
ChatGPT.
I don't know. Tell me the reason.
Southern Hemisphere.
Okay. Say it to me
So if
like
you
I'm a
think about it, that
6-year-old.
okay, so because of the Earth's axis being slightly tilted, the
Yes.
summer season for us is winter for everybody in the southern
Mhm.
hemisphere. So obviously during what would be our summer times, their summertime is during the December, Christmas period,
Mhm.
that kind of New Year,
Which is
all
so
that.
cool. Maybe I need to move there because that sounds fabulous.
To where? South Africa or
Summer in during Christmas, during the holidays, that sounds
but then again,
fabulous.
I know that it can be better if rather than having to deal with cold, but don't you associate Christmas with like snow, fire, warm
Fire.
fires,
No,
um,
no, I do
a
not,
nice warm
Rick.
fire and fireplace, all that kind of stuff?
No.
Why? I mean, we're 4 months away from Christmas.
Thanks for
Um,
the reminder, everyone. Add that to your list of things that you need to start doing now
Look,
that school has
I've been
started.
scrolling through Instagram, and the amount of times I'm seeing summer's nearly over, only 4 months till Christmas, or however many weeks till Christmas, and I'm just like, can we at least get
So,
September out the way? We've got Halloween
well, we
for the
could.
UK. We've
Halloween
got
stuff is
Bonfire
already
Night.
out.
You've got look. I was actually at a shop
Christmas stuff is
yesterday,
out.
and Christmas stuff is
Christmas
out.
stuff is out. I was
And it's
in
August,
that,
like, what
yes.
the actual I mean,
Well, no, don't
it's
say that
always been
word.
I'm not gonna say that word, but it's been getting earlier and earlier and earlier, and this is
We
basically
say
now turned
that, but
into
I
a
don't believe
rant
it. That's not
podcast.
true. Yeah,
It
you
is,
turned it
'cause it
into a
was
rant.
September. I
I'll
remember it
argue
in
with you.
September, and now I've seen it in August.
Well, that's fine for you, but we're saying we see it earlier and earlier. We really don't see it earlier and earlier. Every year we complain about the same thing over and over. You and I both know that's true. It only makes
Look,
sense that the school
in
supply
50 years'
stuff is going
time,
to
we're
be
gonna
out.
yeah, school supply stuff I understand, but it's gonna get to a point
Well,
in
you
50
can't play.
years where we're gonna be in Easter, and they're
No.
gonna be selling Christmas trees.
I bet you 50 years ago people said the same thing.
We're not gonna be asking ChatGPT that
We're
question. But
not
anyway,
asking. No. So
going back to
school is
going
starting
back to
in the UK.
school summer and schools here's
School's scheduled summer is really what you're talking about. Like, when do they
yes.
have summer? Did you know in Latin America, so Mexico, they start in August, so very similar
Mhm.
to us here in Texas. So yeah, it is interesting. A
Everybody
January
seems
start.
to start
Well,
yeah,
what
you
about
can't get
the?
your head around that summer's finishes in January, can you?
It's because I like the sun and the heat and the ocean and the water. And if it's snowing outside, it's not like I can go walk around in my grass or
That's fair. So if
take.
you wanna
You
go
see
to
what I
the
mean?
likes
Like,
of
I
yeah,
always
you
want
wanna
to be
go to
outside.
Australia or something
No, I
like
don't want to
that,
go
and you
there
wanna
because of the bugs. We're derailing this conversation with every comment you
we
add.
are.
Okay, so for us, summer lasts from usually the beginning of June. Some schools go into June, the beginning of June,
Mhm.
and then they start in the middle of August. So they essentially
So
students will get 2 months of a
yeah.
break. Students. I'm
Mm.
not talking
Yeah,
teachers because
let's
we've
not
already
talk
talked about that. So
we're not
students.
talking about teachers.
Right.
So, yeah, so students get 2.5 months worth of, summer break, and in the UK, they get 6 weeks
So
with
2
actually
weeks,
which
2 weeks shorter than we would have for summer.
no, because there's, more than 8 weeks in 2 months. If we want to be logical about this, let's
Great, you're gonna do
and
Tisha
also
math, okay.
you're doing let's do early June to mid August. You're at least looking at 10 to 12 weeks off, and I know that like
I don't believe
I
that.
think it's in Greece and I believe Estonia get like I could be wrong, but it's around 11 to 14 weeks. Other countries like India, which are
Are
hotter,
they using a
obviously
different
have a longer
calendar?
period. What do you mean they're using a different calendar?
I don't believe it.
What, that Greece and Estonia get 11 to 14
Yeah,
weeks?
that's a lot of weeks.
It is a lot of weeks because there's also like different discussions of, well, it's also hotter in those countries during the summer period than it is the likes of the UK, Norway, Germany, all
Oh, that's a
those.
great point, actually.
Which is why like the likes of Spain gets 8 weeks, but then also France gets 8 weeks. And France is more northern than Spain.
So we're
So
making
it's
decisions
like
based on the weather and global warming,
I think there's
essentially.
multiple factors because at the same time you've still got weather, you've got what the government believe it should be. I mean, the UK's summers are getting warmer. If we wanted to talk about global warming, they are getting warmer. So surely, if that logic, we should have longer summers than the 6 weeks because the
So
UK actually has it's one of the shortest summer periods in Europe.
so you're telling
There's
me that people in the UK right now are all up in arms.
We're all the UK is always up in arms
Yeah,
with
about
this
something.
length
About something. It's
about
about the
something, yeah,
weather. It's about, yes, it's
yeah.
whatever.
But it comes about. I see it every single year, and it's come again that should the UK
Oh,
reduce the amount of weeks for the summer period?
well,
What were you about to say?
sorry, I didn't take my ADHD medicines. You don't want to know.
Okay, okay.
I mean, I'll tell you in a second, but I think it's interesting. What are they going to do? I mean, who is fighting this and what are they going to do about it is my question to you.
Well, the thing is, it's been constantly coming up that summer periods are too long. There's challenges, especially with parents in the UK, that like cost of living's going up. So if
Everywhere,
you
yeah.
everywhere, so parents are having to obviously look after the kids at home. If the parents are both working, then there's potential of childcare or summer school, or electric bills are going to go up because kids are going to be staying at home and stuff like this. Um, as well, it's this. The argument is that, well, 6 weeks is a long period of time to be out of school. When they go back to school, they need to then get back into the swing of this structured routine that you have at school. So they want to kind of reduce the weeks during the summer period, but it's not just a reduce the weeks during the summer and that's it. Teachers lose out on the summer period and students lose out. They want to move those weeks to other parts of the year. So, like extending it in during the winter
So that makes
periods.
sense. So do you have winter break or fall break? Are
Oh
those
yeah,
built in?
so we have what we call half terms. So you'll tend to find students will go back to school. They'll have about, it usually ranges between 5 to 8 weeks in school. Average is usually 6 to 7 is what I tended to have. It was rare that you'd had 5, but I do remember having them, and sometimes we had 8.
Mhm.
And you'd then have like a week off, or maybe 2 weeks off, and then you'd have another period of time, 5 to 8 weeks, and then you'd have a longer break, because usually the first batch of 2 will lead you to the Christmas time. And then the second one would lead you around to roughly Easter. And then the second one would lead you to the summer period. So they're just wanting to balance it a little bit more rather than having a big chunk right in the middle. So the argument is that students are or out of school for too long during the summer periods. So they could get out of that system that they've been kind of put in. Um, and obviously cost of living is also the other factor that people are kind of bringing up as arguments. Going off your expertise, Tish, because obviously you were in the classroom, what's your opinion on the summer period? Obviously you have a much longer period than what we have in the UK. What would you say are the pros and cons for a summer period of 2.5 months?
I mean, I think it's important. This is going to kind of lead into one of the topics we're going to talk about today, but I think it's really important for people to be able to check out. And I don't think that you have the ability to do that if it's really short week. So just thinking of it from a teacher perspective or a parent perspective, there is that period of time right before and right after, right? Think about it. We
Hmm.
talked about this. Like when you take vacation or something, it takes your brain and your body like a couple of days to like decompress to where you're actually
Absolutely.
relaxing and
Yeah.
enjoying. And
Hmm.
then a couple of days before you ever go back, then you're already like your body is and your mind are already thinking about what is coming. And so I like the larger blocks of time when I am thinking about well-being, when I'm thinking about people checking out. I think that
Uh-huh.
our entire society, not everybody, but the majority of people are in this hustle culture, and it's very much like do more, do this, do that, don't take a rest. It's like we are rewarding busyness instead of rewarding rest. And
Mm.
we aren't, none of us, I think this is important for everybody. It isn't just students, but the teachers and the administrators. And nobody's operating at their very best when they are at burnout stage.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of breaks here and there. Of course, the fall break, the the spring breaks. Some people
Hmm.
have winter breaks. I think it's important to build those breaks into the year.
Yeah.
But it's something that we talk about all the time because it's really easy if I were going to explain it to a 6-year-old, like I always say, um, if a student is sitting in a seat, that means the school is getting money. So the schools have to be in session for a certain amount of time
Hmm.
here. And it's a requirement. So, I think that's one of the reasons teachers are really like I didn't know about brain research when I became a teacher. It's something that I've kind of learned over the course of time and about, with my own experience, but I would build in brain breaks throughout the week for my students because I could see and feel the burnout. I could see that they were getting
Yeah.
frustrated about something very small. And I always say the thing is not about the thing. If your students or you or your kids or anybody that you know is getting frustrated and emotionally charged about something very small, that should be an indication to you that it isn't about that thing, right? So
There's
I
something
always
else
say,
that actually is
it's something much bigger and
yeah,
deeper.
much yeah, yeah.
So I always say the thing is never about the thing. It's one of the ways that Christina on our last episode talked about not taking things personally in
Mhm.
regards to a comment that she had on her TikTok video. And, I think that it says a lot when you can look at a situation and not take it personally. So as a teacher, sometimes before I learned all of this, I would take it personally. Like, why is that student not listening or doing the work? And why, it's just in my class, they're not doing the work. Well, think about it. It might be a certain time of day or a certain time of year. And so over the course of time, I've learned and researched and studied a lot about how the brain works, really in relation to my ADHD and my discovery. But I was struggling trying to figure out strategies, and it led me to really some self-care things, which I think are really important for teachers. All the adults in the world need to do self-care because where are the students going to learn that from? And so if
Mhm.
my students were seeing me burnt out, then they were seeing, oh, well, that's normal. It's normal for people to be burnt out, and that's how I'm going to go out into the world and operate. So I think summer, I think breaks, I think it really, there is something to that. But you said something earlier about, well, this is what everybody's up in arms about. And then the government is going to decide what we're going to do. And I was like, it made me take pause because, okay, what do you think they're going to decide to do?
Well, that's the thing. I think it's come up in conversations so often and has gone to like voting in a sense. They wanted to get input from multiple people, and I
Right.
know Wales did this. I think it was last year or the year before, and they had 16,000 responses from a variety of people, including parents and teachers. But it was only a small majority, well, not majority, that's the biggest. It's a small minority of people that were for it.
Yeah.
So instead of them actually saying, okay, we're not going to do it, they've said, we're putting it on hold. So it's
Mm.
like, when I read that, it was like, well, majority don't want it. Why are you putting it on hold, though? I don't know if there's an incentive
There's always
or
gonna be an
anything
incentive.
behind
I
it,
mean,
but
I don't this is the Play at 3 podcast, Rick. I don't wanna get into it's not
oh no, we're not,
political.
yeah, we're
Not
not here
but
with the politics,
but
but
I will say I've never met a government who is thinking about my well-being
oh yeah,
or my
absolutely,
mental
absolutely.
health. They're not making decisions about that. It's always gonna
No,
be the
no.
grind, the business, the money.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think
what
it's
makes
interesting.
everything turn really. So
Yeah, I think it goes into though the topic we were going to talk about with some just teacher well-being, which I do want to hit on. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about the thing that I thought of like 4 minutes ago when I went, "Oh my gosh," it made me think of
oh
something
yes,
in
yes.
right, you
Yeah,
remember. Okay.
let's go back to that.
We should label these the Tisha and Rick ADHD podcast episodes. Okay, so I have something on my desk. And I
Okay.
was doing a video for a colleague about something that was on my desk. And it ironically was like within a day or two of when you sent me this video. And this little bee is on my desk.
Ah,
Do you see it? So
yep.
describe it for the people who are not watching.
So it looks like a white stone,
Mm-hmm.
oval shaped, and it's got
Yes.
printed on a silhouette of a bee, but
Yes.
the actual drawing is lines going from
Yes.
left to right that actually draws out the bee.
This is a great description.
Thank you.
And then on the back, can you see what that
It
says?
has "Be Yourself." I
Mhm.
really think it should be double E though. I'm
It
a bit
should be.
disappointed
It
that
should
it's
be.
only B-E
Well,
and
you
not
know who you could take it up
B-E-E?
with? You could take it up
Oh,
with one of my favorite shops in Manchester, England there. It's the Bee Store. I call it the
yeah.
Bee Store. I forget what the actual name is. I love that store so much. Every time I go to Manchester, I have to go to the Bee Store at least once. And these bees are everywhere. The bees are everywhere. And I remember the first couple of times I went, I saw the bee. And they're, like, literally on everything, plus there are
Mhm.
these, like, statues and sculptures of bees, and I did not understand the origination of the bee. I also think it's interesting because when you've talked about bees in relation to neurodivergent learning, right? Did we
Yes,
talked about bees at one of our sessions?
we
But it's
did, yes.
interesting because this bee only has 2 wings, which doesn't seem right.
Because a bee has 4 wings.
And a fly has 2 wings. And then
Mhm.
so you sent me a video. Can you summarize, because you did a great job summarizing the stone. Can you summarize the video for the people listening about the Manchester bee?
Absolutely. I mean, so everyone that isn't familiar with Manchester, England, massive industrial revolution. Manchester, it was prime location for the mills. I can't remember which century it is. I mean, that's quite bad for being a Mancunian
Do you
and
want
not
me to
knowing
do
my history.
ChatGPT? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think we're okay with not going into ChatGPT for
Kidding.
this one. But anyway, so basically, the Manchester Bee is actually on the crest for, I believe, Manchester, Salford, and a couple of
Yes.
other areas, and
Yes.
the bee basically symbolizes a workforce, a community, a group that come together and we make something bigger than what we are as
Yeah, it's
individuals.
about unity. It's about coming
It is.
together for a common cause, and
Hmm.
it's so interesting to me. Keep going. I'm
It
ready.
is.
The story is so fun.
It has a huge history with Manchester itself, and it kind of died away for a
Until
while until it would have been
2017.
was it 2017?
It
Thank you.
was.
You're
Uh-huh.
giving me the history. Because of a particular event that happened, which we won't go into, but it brought back that unity, that we're stronger
Yes.
together, this community, and it's not just about Manchester itself. And the
No.
video that we played said exactly the same thing.
Mhm.
Um, it's not just about Manchester, it's about everyone all around the world that this symbol can be shown where you have a beehive and you can only have the beehive if it wasn't for all the bees. It's not
Right.
just a bee that has done it, it's all of them coming together and aligning with what the goal is. And that's the same for any community, any city, any country, and the whole world, that we're all coming together and doing the same thing. So it's that unity, that community, it's strength.
Well, I also
It's
love it because it's be yourself, and it really,
That's just a
encourages.
play on words.
No,
Be yourself.
it encourages people to come together as themselves, and I think that is something that we need more and more of. Everything seems to divide groups of people these days, and it
Yeah.
has been so disheartening to kind of watch or be part of some of those situations.
Hmm.
I think what I love about the bee and the story of the bee is it really is celebrating these outliers, these innovators, the people who aren't afraid to go and bring people together to do something really big.
Hmm.
Whether it's celebrate something, support something, honor someone. I would love for you, if you would, add the video link to our show notes so that everybody
Yep,
can
that will
go
be in.
learn
Yep, the video
about the bee.
directly to it will be in there because the video I actually sent you was an
It
American
was so
reviewing
good. Yes, it was an American
a.
reviewing, a story of the Manchester bee. It's interesting because I didn't know that so many people had gotten this bee tattooed in
Yes, it was a
2017.
sign. It was a huge sign of unity
So I had no
for.
idea. I went and had a tattoo in Manchester on my lunch break once when I was working at the Wakelet office. And I got the sun, but I
Mhm.
didn't even think that I could get the bee, but, I got the
Yeah.
sun, so
Well, maybe next time you're in Manchester, you know to go get the bee.
I don't know if I need a bee, Rick. I have this, and I also have a keychain. I have a lot of things. I have, stickers every time I go in there, and there is this one really, really cool there was a honey pot, and it was
Mm.
beautiful. And I wanted to buy it and bring it home, but I was so fearful that it would break on the way.
Mm.
So if anybody wants to mail me a honey pot, I'm just kidding. Okay,
You'll have
so
3 turn up next week.
that'd be
Uh,
amazing. I will give them away. We are going to give away sort of some things later, but we want to talk about. We talked about. I called it summer school, but school summer.
yeah.
And then we are going to talk teacher wellness. Was there something else we wanted to talk about in between those? No, I can't remember. If you had something on
Um,
your list, teacher
my
wellness, right, was the big
we
thing.
want teacher wellness is the main thing. You can see how organized we are. We're
We're so
so on point
organized.
with
Well,
these
Rick
things,
just
but
sometimes hits record, and I have to
we just
remember the
go
things
for
we
it.
talked about.
We're just going with the flow. This is the point. Is a conversation,
It's
nothing else. The one thing,
playful, no
yes,
scripting.
yes.
Okay,
The one thing I do want to bring back up. You
sure.
mentioned about the bee only has 2 wings on the design, when a bee actually has 4.
That's what I'm saying. That's brought up in the video.
Yeah.
So
I was
I
going
d
to explain it, but,
Oh, do you
I'm
want
clearly
to?
I
I'm so
no, I'm
sorry.
you no, 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 it's fine, it's fine. Since you've mentioned about the video, if you wanna know why there's only 2 wings
Yeah,
on the design when it's actually 4 wings
4.
for a bee, go watch the video.
Go watch the video.
After listening to the podcast.
They could probably I think some of our listeners could listen to the podcast and listen to the video at the same time. I'm
Probably,
I'm shouting
probably.
out to Amanda Macias because I'm pretty sure she could do that. That's what
Yeah,
I would do. I'd be listening to the podcast and finding the video at the same time and
yeah,
turning on captions so that I could be listening to both. I don't know. See, again, that's just how my brain works.
multitasking. Okay, so,
Well, teacher
teacher wellness.
wellness. Teacher wellness is something that we've talked
What
about for a really long
Yeah.
time.
Can you just why is it important to be bothering about teacher wellness?
Well, typically teacher wellness is only bothered by the teachers. Now, here's the thing. I said it earlier. If you're expecting someone to go and do a job, which think about it, the job is big and it's big every day. It never
Mhm.
gets smaller for teachers. There are a billion different stresses that are coming their way, literally multi moments per second. I don't even know how, like, you can't know that level of stress until you've done it. And I highly would, I have a great idea. Here in Texas, in the US, we have something called jury duty, which is where you get this little card in the mail and it's like, ooh, you have to go do jury duty. And so
Yep.
sometimes people can like opt out of it if they're sick or if something's up, but you
We we
go.
we have the same in the
Mhm.
UK.
You go do your jury duty. Well, I believe that every person should go substitute at a school once.
Ooh.
Every how many years? Doesn't have to be every year, but I think it's very important. And I myself have actually thought about signing up to be a sub because I want to go back in and just invest my time and energy into that space because I believe teachers will always need our support. So
Mhm.
if they are under stress and they're also responsible for their own wellness, I'm going to tell you from perspective, like my own story, which a lot of people don't know the story because I don't really talk about it too much, but I will talk about it now. In 2020, when the world was falling apart, I mean, we all were in that together.
Yep.
And there was a moment in 2020 when I said to someone very close to me, like, I'm not okay. I'm not good.
Mhm.
And me being not good was like, as if it was on deaf ears because I am so happy. My demeanor is joyful all the time. That's just how I've
Mhm.
always been. It doesn't mean that I'm not struggling. And I think people think when I'm happy and I'm smiling and I'm giving my energy to other people and helping people that it means that I'm not struggling behind the scenes. And the truth of the matter is that's completely wrong. That is a myth. So
Well,
I
we
was
have to well, the thing is just sorry, Tish, just to jump in there, but
okay.
we have to look at our own lives and say, are we happy 24/7? Are we jumping around joyful
But
24/7?
don't you think that there's an expectation though? And I think sometimes I will speak to this because I felt it a lot recently because I've kind of been in a similar struggle again with burnout lately. But I think that especially people who are kind of in these educational spaces and are somewhat in the public eye, you know,
Mm,
it does become this level of responsibility, it seems, that is unspoken to like kind of always show up and always be happy and always be motivating and always be excited and that must mean that you're always like that. You know, just think about it. Like even whenever I was younger watching TV shows, like I would come up with this idea that this actor or actress was like always like that. And that's so far from the truth and
mhm,
we forget about
yep.
it. So
Yeah,
I
but
was
that's
not
that's that's why I say that, are we actually joyful all the time? No.
well, we're
So
not.
we have to think that everybody is still human.
I think
If
that's what we're
one per
forgetting. I
if
think that is
yeah,
what we're forgetting.
if I can't be joyful 24/7, then I cannot expect anybody else to be that.
So but I think there is a level of expectation. So I want to talk about that because from a parent perspective, I hear it all the time. Like, you know, there is an expectation for teachers to have their classrooms like completely decorated and like this
Mhm.
whole experience for students. And I'm not saying I don't love creating an experience for my students that's fun and engaging and, you know, gamified and like
Yeah.
decorative and on theme. But I'm also saying that you can't expect teachers to not get to a burnout stage quicker than the rest of the
If
world because they are in it. And it is from the moment that they are on contract until even after their contract is over, they are giving so much of themselves. Okay.
Mhm.
So we talked about this week, you and I. You cannot possibly give to anybody if you are in a negative, burnt out space. You can't do
Yes.
it. It's not possible. And I believe that teachers and a lot of people in the world, really speaking to neurodivergence, because in my research, I've learned this because we mask so much, we get to burn out quicker. But you just can't expect someone to be giving to 120 students plus their teammates, plus their family, plus their friends at an exponential rate
Yep.
and not burn out by about right now. I'm not lying. Like I know it's just
Mhm.
August. We're recording this on August 30th. This is going out in a couple of days. It's going to be September. You have teachers who have just been really in it for the last 3 weeks. I just don't think that we understand what we are putting people through when we're expecting that. And I think it was really, for me, it was a wake up call because I didn't
Mm.
feel that way quite until 2020. And then it was suddenly my responsibility to get everybody up to speed with technology in
Yep.
a way that I had been trying to do for 7 years plus.
Mhm.
And it was not possible to have everybody know all the things in order to execute a successful virtual learning environment. And I remember someone saying to me, like, this must be the happiest time of your life. You just graduated with a, you know, an emerging technologies like master's degree. This is like what you do. It was the worst time of
I
my
l I l
life.
I love how that approach of, "Oh, this is what you love. This is what you do. You've just got a master's, just got this." It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you've just got a degree in this thing. You're gonna be doing
This
all
is the
these
time of your
this is your
life.
favorite things," and it's
Mm,
like,
it
you're
was
just
the
supposed to fall straight into it, and everything's
right.
supposed to be perfect, and
It's
it's
not.
never happens. It's never like
But see,
that.
that's the expectation, and that's what I wanna
Again,
talk about. I wanna talk about how we put that on people. Well, this must be this is the best time of your life, and I often will tell people who were coaches, instructional coaches, digital learning coaches, like, I tell them that story. It was the worst time of my life. So many of us felt that way. It was a lot of
mm,
pressure from a lot of people who were higher up, who wanted us to create miracles, and it was just not possible, and we were home. What I did learn in that, though, is because I wasn't at everyone's beck and call all the time, being at home gave me the ability to rest And that is
Yes.
what I really want to talk about with teachers right now. So I'm going to ask you a couple of things, and then I'm going to
Can,
share a couple of things. Oh, you have a
can I
question?
just jump in just before you go into these
You should
questions?
just jump in. This is so British
Yeah,
asking to jump in. Just jump in.
I know, but I'm not. I was gonna say I'm not rude, but I know that your ADHD just you just jump straight into when I'm talking. But I was just thinking, you said that a teacher, when they're in school, start of the school year, they've got 120 students, potentially plus. Obviously, some teachers will be focused on 30 students because they
Sure,
may be in elementary or
sure.
whatever. Um, Plus all their colleagues and then parents and then everything else on top of that. So when you get into like the summertime, because a lot of parents assume that, oh, teachers are off for the summer, they're not doing anything. But really, you're still working.
Yeah, we've talked
It's
about
just the fact,
this.
yeah, we've talked
Yeah,
about this. We have already talked about this. You're still working. You just don't have all the students
right,
now. So in
right.
a sense, it's your break is just not having as much work to do. So when you've got people
Exactly.
that work in other jobs where their workload might be very much peaks and troughs, you could go through 2 months and you've done up and down workload. You've got 1 week that's really busy, 1 week that's really calm. But for a teacher, it's constant
Mm,
for a long period of times. Obviously, you get your spring break, you get your winter break, those kind of things, which kind of give you a little bit of downtime, if I dare say that. You've just not got the students there every single day for a couple of weeks. But having that summer period, even though you're working, is your downtime, really.
yeah,
And that's what it just goes back to the summer break, trying to reduce that down. You are reducing the
yeah.
amount of time that a teacher can actually have
Yes.
as a
That's what I'm trying to
break.
say. That's it. And it isn't, I'm talking from a teacher perspective right now, but it affects everybody um all the same. I think what I want to talk about is the teacher wellness. That's a specific piece that I really wanted to hone in on just by telling this story because I've not told this story very often to many people. I was not in a good place. And when I say that, I mean seriously, I was not in a good place. I was
Mm-hmm.
so burnt out. I
Mm-hmm.
just little things I could not function through. And that wasn't normal behavior for me, so I knew that it was an alert. I think as we are going through life and as teachers, we're always showing up for everyone. We stop listening to our
Mm-hmm.
body, we stop listening to our intuition,
Yeah.
we stop listening to what we need. And now I'm speaking from that perspective a second time because I have recently gone through that exact same scenario,
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit different because now I know what it is and now I know what to do. And it takes so much rest and recovery. I would say double the rest and recovery to get out of the burnout. I
Yeah.
mean, to be able to shut things off. And I have done that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have not been on social media very much in the last 2 months. I have not been posting. I have not been really engaging. I have been doing what I need to do when I need to do it. And mostly it's sleeping
Mm-hmm.
and eating and going outside.
Yeah.
And those are the three things that I have been focusing on. So that is really what I want to tell teachers today. That is what I'm going to share. So I do have an app, Rick, that I'm going to share with them. Do you want to hear the
Okay.
app that I have?
So basically, what you've been doing is obviously you said you've not been on social media,
Yep.
posting and doing
Yep.
other things. Um, because you're not in the classroom like you used to be,
Mm-hmm.
you're having to find things to eliminate to allow
Mm,
yourself
sure.
to recover during
So
those times. So,
that's the tip. Wherever you are, whoever you are, you have to figure out what needs to be eliminated right this second. What are the
mm-hmm,
things that I can live without doing? So I was getting up and doing work, but I wasn't doing my work past a certain time of day
mm-hmm,
anymore. My doctor even told me to stop traveling. So I stopped going anywhere, which I love to travel. It's my favorite thing ever, but I knew that I just couldn't do it. The other thing is sleep. So I like to track my sleep. It keeps me accountable. Not everybody, this won't work for everyone, but I am using an app called Rise Sleep. And Rise Sleep, I did pay for it. I'm sorry I did not mean to bang on the table, Rick, but you also banged on. I cannot
That
believe it. It's like we are arguing on our own podcast. I didn't mean to hit the table.
I love that. Just so everybody's aware, I was trying to be. Tisha is on a roll talking, and I
And
was
he
thinking,
interrupted me.
I will just message
You
quietly.
can't.
She can notice it when she notices it,
No.
and sometimes she doesn't even read it, and then she just goes and notices it and just immediately apologizes. So anyway, you were going back to
The sleep app that I
the
have.
sleep app, yes,
So,
which is called
it's called
Rise.
Rise Sleep, and I pay
Okay,
for it.
and it's not a plug.
This is not a plug for it, but I do want to say to all the teachers, I know that it's hard to get all the sleep that you need to do all the things you need to do. I understand that. But I'm going to tell you from this side of even this burnout bout that I've been in, the sleep is helping heal me in so many ways. And so if you can
Mm-hmm.
get to sleep earlier and if you can sleep a little longer and if you can plan for your sleep, it's kind of like, what do they always say? Like, you can't succeed unless you plan to succeed or something like that. Well, you're not going to sleep unless you need to, and unless you plan for sleep. So I'm going to tell you what I do. So I have two apps. One is called Auto Sleep. Auto Sleep I was already using, and it is like a one-time fee. So it isn't like in-app purchases every five things you want to do. It's just a one-time purchase. So I was keeping track of my sleep that way, and it was okay. And then I decided to start using, on a recommendation from someone, Rise Sleep. And Rise Sleep reminds me when I need to be taking melatonin, because there have been days that I've needed to take melatonin just to go to sleep. So it will remind me. Now, Rick, are you still there? Because you look like a frozen.
I'm still here and my
Okay.
camera's still working, so I'm just
Well,
I'm just listening to you because I've got a few things I want to bring up
okay.
once
Well,
you've gone through what your routine
so
is.
this Rise app reminds me when to take melatonin. And I didn't realize, because of my ADHD, it was taking me like 3 hours to wind down. So imagine if I wasn't starting to go to sleep until 11.
Oh my God, 3 hours to actually wind down.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you 3
Yes.
hours to wind up.
That's
And if
true.
you're taking
Both.
8 to 9
It's
hours
both.
to
I
actually get
do.
to
That's not
sleep.
wrong. I do have to get up
So
early
how
to
how
function.
many hours do you actually have during your day if we're taking 6 hours?
Not a lot.
50, so 9 hours to basically do everything else.
Yes,
during
not a
your
lot.
day.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
working too, like
Yep,
that
there's
portion.
another. So
So
basically, you're giving yourself about an hour
I
to
was
do
essentially,
everything
no,
during your
it's
day.
not even wrong, because for a bit, that is exactly how it was going, because I
Mm-hmm.
knew that it was so important. And it was very, I mean, it was a very urgent thing. I've had to go to the doctor a lot. I've had to have a lot of blood tests.
Mm-hmm.
It has been majority stress and burnout. But here's what I will say. The sleep app, Rise Sleep, I did pay for it because I wanted the data, right? I love the data. I can tell you right now, I
Data.
didn't.
Sorry, I just find it
Data,
funny how
data,
you say it.
data.
Yep.
I am in 8.9 hours of sleep debt right now, and that is not good for me. Yesterday was Friday. I should have gotten so much sleep, and I didn't. And I can't explain what is happening. I think something is bothering me, and this is why I'm saying, like, you can start
Mm-hmm.
tracking it. It also tells me my energy potential for the day. So I only have 56% energy for the day. And it will also just remind me, again, when to take my melatonin. But what is interesting is I can backtrack. It only keeps track, I think, of the last 3 weeks. And I can see that my sleep has gone down. So I was getting like 9 hours of sleep, 8 hours, 7 hours. And then recently it's been 6, 7, 5. So do you see? And I can
Yeah.
visually see it. So now I'm like, you know what
And
has to happen today? I have to sleep. I
yeah.
have to.
But the thing is, it's not just about, you can't just go and say, oh, I've been getting 5, 6 hours of sleep a day. knowing that it's not actually good for you, and then say, well, I'll just sleep on the weekends and I'll
No,
I'll I'll
no.
sleep for 10 hours and
And
I'll
that's what the
recoup what I
debt
missed.
exactly, that's why
It's not going to work that
the
way.
sleep debt is so important because the sleep debt will keep rising. So when I see that my sleep debt is at 8.9 hours, I'm not doing a good job. I'm not keeping up with my habits. I'm not going to sleep or taking my melatonin when I need to be taking it. I'm saying to myself, "Ooh, I'll take it later. I just want to go do this one thing really quickly. I want to
So you're
watch this TV show or this movie."
Yeah. So you're essentially saying this the sleep debt, because as I just said, you can't just go and have like 8 hours of
No,
sleep
you
debt and then
can't.
say, you know what, instead of 6 hours sleep, I'm going to sleep for
Yeah,
10. That's going to get me 4 hours back on my sleep debt. It doesn't work
mhm.
like that.
No.
And I'm not saying that we're a science like specialist in sleep or whatever, because I will go
We're
into
not.
mine and it's like very similar to Tisha's, but it is just representing that you haven't kept consistency
Right.
with your sleep, and therefore, because of that, you have missed out on X amount of sleep, which is going to
Which
interfere with
will
your day to day
impact my
further
stress.
on
Yes.
into the week,
Everything that
if
stresses
not
me
into the
out
next week.
is sort of
Hmm.
amplified. It really is about keeping a commitment to myself. It's not even
Yes.
keeping a commitment. So I think that's what I want teachers to know on wellness. Like sleep is going to be your best friend to get you out of that. And if you aren't making that a priority, you will not get out of it. Like I'm telling you from experience.
Just to add though, it's all well and good saying, "Oh, you need to sleep," but if you've
Okay.
got something that is stressing you out,
Oh yeah, you're
that
not
is
going to sleep.
stopping you from sleeping, then
So
you're
here's
going
the
to have a
question.
problem.
How do you de-stress from that, Rick?
Exactly. So, I mean, one of the biggest things, I'm not saying this is the answer to everybody, for everybody, because I
We're
think
just
this would
speaking
cause
from our own
chaos.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is our own experiences. So, there is two situations that I will go through. First off, when I was at Wakelet, I was getting very similar to Tish, 5, 6 hours of sleep. I was also working a lot of hours, but I was getting stressed out and I was hardly sleeping. When I left the company, I decided for myself, because I'd been working on Wake Club for 14 years by this point, I needed to take some time for myself. So I didn't go straight into a new job or anything like that. But I had gone from having 5 to 6 hours sleep to now having, on average, 8 hours sleep, which
Mhm.
I hadn't properly done for a long, long time. And because I'd removed the work that I was doing, it allowed me to sleep better. And funnily enough, within the first month of me leaving Wakelet, I lost 14 pounds in
Mm,
weight. And I hadn't changed my diet. I hadn't started exercising. The only thing was different was I was sleeping 8 hours consistently,
yeah. Yeah.
de-stressed, and my body had adjusted to that.
So I want to talk about what you said because you said if something is bothering you or stressing you, you're not going to sleep because your subconscious
Yes.
is going to keep you awake.
It keeps you awake and
So
you end up using more energy and just
one of the
burn
things
out.
I do is I have been listening to specific YouTube videos when I go to sleep.
Mhm.
So rather than scrolling on my phone, I will keep YouTube up and it will play like a meditation or something like that that
Mhm.
is calming. And I
Yeah,
will
I do
set it on
exactly the
my
same. I actually have, rain. It has
yep.
to be, uh, the sound of rain hitting a car, so, like, you're sitting inside the car.
Mm, hmm.
So it's like, I don't know,
That's
it
interesting.
took me a bit of time to get used to, but after a while now, I literally put that on, within 5 minutes,
Yeah.
I'm gone. It's like, it just soothes my mind.
So then I've been reading. So that's the other thing I want to remind teachers to do. We are spending a lot of time reading. You are now for your students, right? Like all of you are
Mhm.
reading, 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 trying to get everything, but take some time to read something that you want to read. And I know a lot of teachers that do this. Um, and I go in, like you said, like mountains and valleys of my reading, but I
Yep.
read 3 books in like a
Wow.
week And I was just reading at night, and I was reading, like, I was doing a nighttime routine where I was not focusing on anything, and then my last tip, so sleep apps, we talked about, like, what you listen to when you go to sleep for your
Hmm.
subconscious to kind of
Just can't.
de-stress.
It's like the one thing I found with that was I don't have like a wind down process, which I probably should
Ooh,
do.
I
So
do.
no
Mhm.
screens, no low light, all that kind of stuff. But the sound
Mhm.
from the TV, because the thing is, there's a load of them, and they
There's
can have
so
like
many.
black
We're gonna
screen
link
and it's just
them.
sound.
We're gonna link some for
Yeah,
you
we'll
so
put
that you
some
have
examples
it.
in,
Mhm.
and it's like my mind has now got used to hearing that sound. Okay, it's time for bed, because obviously lights are out, everything. There's a couple of different things that will allow me to subconsciously know this is time for you to rest. So it's like
Mhm.
my wind down time is in the space of 10 minutes. It just shuts off, and I've been having much better sleep. And funnily enough, the last like few weeks have actually been that, because on top of having that, Tish says about reading. For those that know me, I'm dyslexic. I hate reading. I do hate it because I read slowly. So that's not going to work for me. And this is where we say there's some of this will work
There's a
for
way, not
some,
the way.
and others will. It's what suits you. But the ones that I've been finding most beneficial is going for walks.
I was gonna mention that because I wanted to say along the side of you hate reading, but one of the things that we both do is we journal. We do a lot of journaling, and it doesn't have to
Exactly.
make sense. That's the thing. That's the place you can like put all of your thoughts there. Don't put them
Hmm.
on social media. Putting all of your
No.
thoughts on social media is never a good thing. Put them in a journal. Buy a cute little. We'll link some journals that I love, some journals that Rick loves. We'll link them so you can find them.
Yep.
Find a pen that you like, right? It all
Hmm.
matters. What are
Yeah,
you
it
gonna say
does. It
about
does.
journaling?
I was just going to say though, one of the ways that I actually found to help me move into journaling, because as well, being dyslexic, I'm
Mhm.
faster to type than I am to write.
Yes.
Now, I have found, and Tish will agree with this, that by writing it down with a
Mm.
pen, there is this connection there that just helps to ease into that flow. Before that, I would type it out. I just use the notes app. There is the journaling
Yeah.
app on iPhone. I don't know what it is on Android, but any just text editor or something like that. If you want to just start off just by typing it, it at least gets the thoughts that are in your mind
Out.
out.
Mhm.
And that's
I
what we're
will
trying to
say,
do
though,
when it comes to well-being
you're
is and
100%
to
right.
going to sleep.
Writing something down. This is where it's interesting because I know people say, "Well, Tisha thinks that everything should be digital." I'm telling you, it shouldn't be digital. Like,
Not
yes,
everything
some
should
things
be.
are, right? But writing something down, and I have multiple journals. I've been journaling, actually. I don't think people know this, but I've been journaling
Mm,
since I was 12 years old. I have my very first diary that I started journaling in. And I
yep.
still do it. It does not have to make sense to anybody. It doesn't have to be in a specific order. It doesn't have to be in complete sentences. You can journal however you need to get that out. So reading and journaling, the YouTube videos will link. Sorry, Rick. I know I keep hitting. What you should know is when you hear the table, it's actually me hitting myself on accident. So probably have all these bruises. The sleep apps, we're going to link those as well. And then the last thing you said, because I want to talk about this for well-being, you said walking. And so
Mm,
let's talk about your walking. Walking, I know personally, because I've done it for a lot of years. I, again, go in little spurts where I'll do it all the time and then I won't do it.
yep.
But you have this walking story, and then I have switched a little bit to grounding. So I want you to talk about walking
Hmm.
first.
So yeah, again, Tish said that she journals. She's been journaling since she was 12 years old. I've really only been journaling properly, and when I say properly, I mean doing it every single day for the last 4 weeks.
Mhm.
I've been doing it very sporadic, and that's the thing. It's going to take time. But now I've got into a flow, and what I do as well is I've been doing a lot of walking, and you only need to do 15 minutes a day.
Mhm.
I know we always say about, oh, my life's busy, I've got this and I've got this, I've not got time to do that and everything. I completely understand that because that was exactly me. I tried to go to the gym. Within 6 weeks, I'd stopped going because I'm like, well, I'm busy at the moment. I need to do this and I need to do this. What I actually started doing was tracking what I was doing. What did I achieve? And I cheated a little bit, but I found this actually helped me because I would say, oh, I need to do 15 minutes of movement. Well, I've gone and done my chores around the house. So whether that's cleaning or tidying things up or whatever, if I've been doing that for 15 minutes, that's my 15 minutes of movement. I will take that off. I will take that off. And I'm starting to see then that, oh, actually, I'm doing things during the day that's actually counting to my movements every day. How about I add something now because I'm realizing I do have the time. I'm actually already doing the thing that I keep saying I will do. Well, how about I add to it? And that's why I started walking, and I started walking for 15 minutes. And then it ended up being 30 minutes.
We
And
have
now like this this
plenty of
this
time.
week, this week I mean, what I went out for an hour, hour and a half just walking.
Yeah. It's
And
because you're feeling the effects. I wanted to talk about why it's so beneficial. And I want to remind everybody listening because I used to do this as a teacher. Um, During my lunch break, instead of eating lunch in my classroom or in the teacher's lounge or the
mhm,
cafeteria, I would actually take my lunch and I would go sit outside in my car or on the sidewalk. And I know that's not like really grounding myself, but I needed to be outside with the sun. And there's something about doing that
mhm,
just for, like you said, 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day. It is going to adjust your mood. There is scientific
yep.
research on this. I'm not going to cite all of that for you. You can look that up. But I do
It's
want to
getting outside natural
well, I want to
light.
talk about that. I want to talk about the benefits of grounding outside because it is going to reduce your stress and anxiety, right?
Mhm,
Your nervous system is all out of sorts as a teacher. And so just being outside is going to help restore that. It's going to improve your sleep. And then there's like anti-inflammatory effects. So I do this and people might call me crazy, but I don't care because it works for me, right?
Yep,
I
it works
spec-
for you.
and Rick has seen me do this. I know Amy from the Wakelet team. I've done this at conferences before, but I will take off my shoes and my socks and I will go find grass. And I
Mhm,
always laugh because people will be like, go touch the grass. I'm like, you're being sarcastic about that phrase, but it actually is working. You probably should. So I will go stand in the grass for just 5 minutes. It doesn't even take that long. It is known to reduce inflammation, which is something I definitely needed in 2020 and need again now. So I'm being very specific and doing what Rick is doing, being consistent with that. But it's also balancing your energy. It's restoring the natural electrical charge in your body. So everything is energy. I talk about that a lot, aside from technology. And we are around technology and electronics all day long. So it only makes sense that we should do that. It's also gonna, like you said, Rick, boost your mood. It lowers stress.
yeah, it
So you
does.
know what I have on the way? It's not here, but I ordered one. It will be here today is a grounding mat. And he is
Mm.
laughing about my
Because
grounding
I
mat.
literally just saw a mat and I was like, "Tish, I can go buy you a mat for a fiver if you want."
Some people
And
do. I have a yoga mat. You could take the yoga mat
yeah,
and put it outside. But these mats, these grounding mats are when you can't be outside barefoot. If I live in Iceland, I'm
which
not going
is
to be able to ground
or the
myself. I'm
UK.
Exactly. So the grounding mat works indoors. And it's essentially just the same type of practice. So there are grounding sheets that you can sleep on. There are grounding
Mhm,
mats. And essentially the way that it works is the mat has conductive materials like carbon or silver threads within them, and it connects to a grounding port. And so you put it in the grounded electrical outlet. So you just have to make sure that there is the little round circle when you're plugging something in. In
mhm.
America, that's what we look for. Or you can take a grounding rod and make sure it is outside. So you could, thread it outside of your
I
window and
mean,
put it outside.
here's an interesting thing. So
Hmm.
obviously, some people might be thinking, why the heck? What do you
Tisha
mean earthing and
Ponzio,
all this
what are
kind of
you
stuff?
doing?
Like grounding yourself, earthing, which is the like the when we look at plugs, electrics, and everything, there's always
Mm,
the UK, as Tish knows, our plugs are 3 pins.
Yes.
Every single one is 3 pins. The 2 pins at lower are for the actual electrical
Yes. And
current,
the top pin.
and the top is
For us, it's the
is the
bottom.
grounding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same with the human body. There's going to be electrical currents that are going
Mm-hmm.
through. It's why we can like do an electric charge. You can get electric
Mm-hmm.
shock off
Oh, I
somebody.
used to work with a teacher. I'm not even kidding. This is a real story. I used to work with a teacher, and so I was helping with computers all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she would always send me emails, and she'd be like, "Tisha, my computer's not working." And so I would go in, and there was no explanation for it. And one day she was like, "I just need you to know, like, I've been known to have more of an electrical charge in my body than other people."
Yeah.
And I was like, and I didn't understand what she was saying in that moment. And then over the years, I would go by, and I would be in her classroom working with her, and I'd be like, "Why is the clock not working?" And she would just look at me, and she'd be like, "Do you remember what I told you?" She was like, "Sometimes that happens with the clock, with my phone." And so I think it's so fascinating, the
It
scientific
is.
aspects of that, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's when we look at if you were to build a computer, the first thing you need to do is to ground yourself,
Yes.
because there might be electrical charge that you end up putting into the current of the circuit boards you're using
Mm-hmm.
and end up damaging them. Now, I
Yeah.
don't know if that's the case nowadays, but that's what happened when me and my dad were building a computer many, many years ago.
Sure.
But funnily enough, I remember I worked in Dubai for 10 weeks, 3 months. I was working at the airport, and I had to get to the offices. I had to go through like 7 doors. And because of the shoes I was wearing, every single door handle would give me an electric shock. So
Yeah.
I actually, within a week, every time I was walking up to a door, I had to touch the wall next to me, next to the
Yeah.
door, to ground myself before I then go and open the door. And
Yeah.
that's what I see with these, like the grounding mats and going outside
Mm-hmm.
barefoot. It grounds you,
Yes. And
and
when
it
you're
can
doing that,
help
you're
you.
reducing stress. And
You're
that's what I'm
reducing
saying.
stress and
Like when
everything
you are in
because.
stress mode, your body is in fight, flight, or freeze at any
Mm-hmm.
given moment. So
Yep.
I just want teachers to know, like, we're gonna link all of this. I will link my grounding mat. I will give you a
Yeah.
review probably
You're
on
gonna get
social.
a plethora of resources from this episode.
I know, so many resources. It is a long episode, but we have one more thing we want to talk about. Is that true, Rick? You said we had one more thing that we are going to discuss before we wrap up this episode.
Did I?
You did. You said you wanted to talk about it because Monday is September 1st.
Monday is
This
September
is
1st.
insane that he's forgotten. Now I have to type
I've already
him.
forgotten what that September 1st. Because it's September
I
1st.
don't know what I even saged the studio for your
Oh, and
memory.
you can already hear that Tish went and typed on a keyboard, which sent me a message to remind me what it was. Because we've been talking about wellness and stuff, I've just
Mhm.
just my mind's
You
just
got hyper
gone
focused
elsewhere.
on
I
it.
did, I
Yeah.
did. So yes, it is September 1st.
Mm.
This episode's going out on September 1st,
Mhm.
so start of a new month. But it's also a month that's very important to you, Tish,
Well, I didn't
because
expect you to make me cry. I knew we were going to talk about this, but now I'm getting emotional. But I did tell you that I would answer whatever questions you have, which is not
yep,
something that I usually open up for
hmm
about this particular journey. So,
yes.
yes, I am prepared to talk
So
about it.
next month, or this month, if you're hearing this during September, is Childhood Cancer Awareness. And Tish, you don't know if you want to say people's names and stuff, but people that know you know that you have one of your kids is a
Mhm.
cancer
Shut.
survivor,
Mhm. It's hard to
which is
say. I know
incredible.
you're having
Yeah,
difficulty saying it. It is hard.
it's
It's
difficult.
emotional.
It is, and it is a lot. And but you had to go through this experience, which I wouldn't want anybody to have to go through. I personally have not gone through this myself, so I can't fully imagine the difficulties that you had to go through and stuff. But I mean, do you want to just tell our audience like what was that journey like for you and your family, and What's been the end result of that journey?
So, we'll put a link in the show notes for a video that I actually made about my journey. And what a lot of people don't know is that between the years of 2013 and 2017, I was blogging every single part of my journey as a childhood cancer mom. I was It was my journal, but I was essentially talking to the world, and people were following our journey. I was always hopeful, and there's so much that I could deep dive on this story, and
Mhm.
I feel like there is probably another book inside of me around the things that I have gone through, around coping with PTSD. A lot of people don't know that childhood cancer, because of all the medical, um, all of the medical pieces that are involved, it will create medical chronic PTSD in the kids and in the family members. And so that is
Mhm.
one of the things that, despite me having a great attitude and having a lot of faith and believing in a lot of really great things that happened, it's still something that we deal with every day. So I think what I want people to know, if you're listening, is that currently, and for a lot of years, only 4% of government research and public dollars has gone towards childhood cancer. Only 4%. Only
Which is which is
4%.
which is crazy to think, and
I can't
just
even, like, I just need you to like, everybody it's 4%. So when October rolls around, everybody's going to cheer on for breast cancer and and donate so much money. And so I do get really emotionally charged about it. Not that that is not important. It absolutely is. And I have
absolutely.
friends who have gone through that journey. But what I am saying is, when you are only getting 4% of government research and public dollars going towards making sure kids stay here for longer, that is an insane fact to have to speak out loud, but also live.
Mm.
There are, gosh, last time I did research, I think it was 17 to 25 kids a day were getting diagnosed with childhood cancer. Let's figure out why. Why is this happening? A lot of times people can't explain why. So my son had leukemia. There's no way for us to know why.
Mm.
He was 2 when he was diagnosed, and that journey was a lot. It was very long. My video outlines a whole lot about that journey. What I do wanna share, and it's not something that I had planned to share, but I will share this, and I kind of ran this by Rick. So my son was very much in the public eye during this journey, and as he's gotten older and he is in remission, he is a survivor of childhood cancer. But he was so young, he doesn't remember a lot of it. He doesn't really like to be in the public eye, though, because he was so much. I mean, news articles,
Mm.
and there was all kinds of things, videos, and he was meeting really cool, famous people and going on trips, and to try to make that time period better and the things he was
Yeah.
going through. But he doesn't remember anything from his diagnosis. And his earliest memory was at the hospital in Dallas playing video games. He remembers having to go to the hospital in the middle of the night. He remembers that I would have to put numbing cream on his port, which is on his chest, where they would access his port with a needle to put the medicines in his body, so he wasn't
Mhm.
constantly having to get a new IV. He remembers ringing the bell when he was finished with treatment, and he remembers going to childhood cancer Camp Esperanza when he was younger. He remembers playing the Angry Birds game when it was really popular
Mhm.
on the iPad, when they would have to access his port because he would be so emotional about it. He would
Mhm.
remember the sleeping medicine, which, um, I'm not going to say the name of the medicine. He calls it the sleepy medicine, and it was whenever he would have to have a lumbar puncture or a spinal tap. He had many, many of those. He remembers blood draws, and like he called it the gas room, where he was getting medicine in his lungs. But he said for the most part, he was so happy all the time, and he only remembers, like, bad taste in his mouth, which were the medicines that he was
Mhm.
having to take every day. He remembers getting toys after chemo or sleeping a lot, but his friends didn't treat him any differently. They were careful and cautious with him, but he didn't feel like he was treated differently because of childhood cancer. He remembers being supported by people in the community, and that he got to meet some really cool people. And then he just remembers living. He doesn't remember things specifically being so hard. And he told me that he's so used to hospitals and doctors and nurses that he finds so much comfort in going into medical situations more so than he's scared or anxious of them because it feels like home, because that's what he was
Mm,
surrounded by. I asked him recently if surviving cancer, if he thought it shaped him in any way, and he said he was too young to be shaped by that journey too much, and that the reason that he is who he is now is because of who was around him and who is still there. And I asked him what he wanted adults to know about this journey. And he said, for the kids, the childhood cancer kids, a lot of us are just living and doing what we have to. I didn't understand the impact that this entire experience had on my family until I got older.
mhm,
And he wanted everybody to know that the environment you surround yourself with is what you'll experience. And his family created an environment where living life was the entire point. And that's exactly what he did. So that's in honor of Jace. I hadn't planned on sharing that or reading it, but thank you, Rick, for asking me about it. I have this idea, so I'll run it by you live on the podcast, but I have some books behind me, like
mhm,
in multiple places behind me, our book. And what I would love to do is, if anybody wants to buy a book, we'll include the shipping in your price, and all of the money for the books will go to, we'll say, Jace's favorite childhood cancer nonprofit. There are two. I'll mention them and I'll have Rick add those to the show notes. But one is Hope Kids. Hope Kids directly supports the families and the patients. And then Alex's Lemonade, the majority of their money is going directly to research and to what we want it to go to. It's not just going to staffing or crazy things like that.
mhm. Yeah.
So, Rick, we're going to give away some books. If you want a book, I've got a couple behind me. If you let us know on any platform or
Yep.
email,
Any social media platform on Player 3, Instagram, X, even Facebook, TikTok, just reach out to us if you're wanting a copy. Let us know. We will sort everything out for you. So, yeah, any sales that we
all
make,
of the sales proceeds will go to
yeah,
Hope Kids or to Alex's Lemonade. And I think we'll let Jace choose where it goes to.
yeah. So, yeah, all going to an amazing course, chord. I can't
Cause.
cause. Thank you.
I think I made you
My
speechless
word.
with
Yeah,
Jace's
I have.
words.
You have. But yeah, and anything that is made from those will, yeah, all of it will go to
Mhm.
uh these amazing organizations. Really,
Organizations.
my
I
wordings
think
is
I made
just
you emotional in that
yeah.
as I was making myself emotional. The thing is, Jace doesn't really share that story, and this was the perfect opportunity. I hadn't planned on it, but I think it's important for us to remember that there are kids and families a lot of times sitting in your classrooms who are
Mhm,
going through things like this, and you may or may not know it to the full extent that it's happening. You may know it because they have a 504 plan or you
yeah,
have to accommodate for some reason, but you probably don't actually know the behind the scenes. And so I try to do everything I can to advocate for families like that who can't speak in that moment, or who don't want to, or who want to stay anonymous about their story.
yeah.
So thank you, Rick, for allowing me the opportunity to share that.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, let's celebrate childhood cancer awareness this month. It's important. The yellow ribbon is shows that support to those that are going through tough times, which Tisha has had full blown experience of. So, on that note, I think we'll come to the end of the podcast. Um, Tisha,
We didn't do our confessionals
we
this
did
time. So
not,
we're
we
gonna
did
have to
not
record another episode just on what is it?
just,
I call it Juicebox Confessionals, okay? We're
yeah,
gonna do that.
we're going to do that. We will do that. I mean, this is our if you've made it to the end of this episode, this is our new structure where we're going to be having first Monday of every month is going to be me and Tish talking, and the rest of the weeks we're going to have some amazing guests on.
If you want to be a guest, let us know. And if you are requesting anybody to be a guest on our show, let us know who that is, and we will reach out to them as well.
Absolutely. Excellent. All right. Well, if you've liked this podcast, please follow us, like us, leave us a review wherever you are listening from. Follow us on socials. We're on there. Tish is on there. I'm on there. I'm not doing everything's in the show notes. We always do this every time.
Just go to the show notes.
Go to the show notes.
Shout us out on any of the social platforms.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear what your thoughts are and stuff. So until next time.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
All the best. Bye.
Thank you for being a part of this episode. Continue the conversation with us online. Subscribe and follow, and let us know if you'd like to join as a guest or if there's someone you'd like to hear from.
We'd love to connect with you on X, Instagram, and TikTok. All links and show notes will be available in the episode description. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and playing.